Hey everybody, welcome back to Crew Talk.
Sorry, I'm literally doing like that in the camera.
Well, we're just gonna keep that. That's the intro. Welcome to another episode of Crew Talk. It's been a minute, Nick.
Yeah, especially
for
me.
Minute. Especially for you. You've been gone. So, I mean, the last episode we did, as you probably saw, if you haven't, go to the YouTube channel, and it's not on the podcast, so it's only on the YouTube channel. But it's a review of the new QSC L series, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
I think it's a great series.
It's one of those things where it's like it didn't fit into like the podcast side of things.
Yeah, true.
So like, let's throw on the YouTube. Get on the YouTube. It's a cute little project we got going on over there.
It's a cute little thing. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you're listening to the podcast right now, you're like, man, I wonder what these guys look like. Go to YouTube.
Yeah, we'll
us.
let you know if you regret that or not.
Welcome to the YouTube page. Anyways, this week, we're going to go see Oppenheimer. I'm going to go see Barbie together this weekend. It's called Barbenheimer weekend.
It's a beautiful combination.
It's a beautiful combination. And I'm dressed for the occasion.
You really are.
Obviously,
I represent the Oppenheimer side,
yes,
darkness,
I am
despair.
Going for the Barbie side.
You have the Barbie
100%.
side of things. Yeah.
And I'm excited because I grew up with a sister who loved Barbie.
You grew up loving
And I loved
Let's be honest.
playing Oppenheimer on the Barbies. Like,
Oh.
Wait a minute.
You kind of look like Sid from Toy Story. You know that, right?
I really did like taking their heads off and putting them on other ones. Yeah.
Yeah, that got dark.
Anyways, we'll cut that part out.
Mm-mm.
Nah, we know Ray won't.
No,
In fact, I need Ray to do the description. So Ray's probably going to upload this episode to the podcast or to the YouTube channel. Ray is so good at his descriptions. It's insane. A lot of the older videos, I never changed them. It was all him.
Ray did the descriptions
He
for
did the
this?
descriptions
I forgot
for
about
the older ones. And I honestly tried my hardest to duplicate, and I couldn't.
Yeah.
It just wasn't the same. Not the same
that. I didn't
flair.
want to say it, but yeah.
Yes. Well, anyways, let's dig into this. So we've had a busy few months here. You have, especially.
Yeah, you could say
You've been gone a little bit. So some of you don't know, Nick went on tour twice within the last 6 months at least. And tell us about that. So you went on Brooke Lidgertwood? Lidgertwood, I think is her last name.
Yeah, you could say
It's
it like that.
a weird last name.
Yeah.
But hey, mine's worse.
Former Hillsong artist is what you could also say.
Yes.
Because I feel like most of these artists, I don't know their names until like I've realized what projects they've been a part of.
It's true.
So yeah,
I'm
she
the
was with
same way.
Hillsong a lot. But yeah, I went as a lighting tech for that one. So that was back in April.
Yes.
It was 2.5 weeks. So a couple
2.5
couple
weeks.
days of rehearsal
That was a long
before,
time.
and then like basically every other day was show. So yeah, and I was lighting tech for it, which was cool. And then I did
You went on Bethel.
yeah, I did
Bethel tour in
tour.
Europe.
Little thing.
A lot of different venues.
That one.
A lot of different rigs. And you actually had to deal with the programming and updating it for those rigs.
Yeah, that one I was programmer on.
So what was the biggest difference for you going from doing church every week and the events we do versus doing that every week, a new rig, different fixtures, some of them great,
do you want to
some
talk
of them
about the
not
Brooke
great?
one first? Because that was lighting tech where the
Oh, yeah.
I
Let's
mean-
talk about that
I
one.
mean similar things.
Let's go
like-
back there. Yeah.
So I mean, like number one is I'm not programming at all.
Right.
We had a really good programmer, and his name's Benji. He killed it. Absolutely
Shout
insane.
out to Butter Knife Designs.
Yeah. So I was just light tech for that, but basically it was me running a small crew, which by crew I mean mostly volunteers at each church, setting up the rig and stuff. So
Sounds about right.
I learned that I didn't like. What were these fixtures called? We're gonna have to throw it in the. We're gonna have to throw it like in like.
Or the M strikes.
No. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
M
We can
strikes,
talk about those if you really want
Unfortunately,
to.
Chauvet, they're fixing it. Thankfully, they're
That's
fixing the firmware.
That's what they keep
but
saying. So.
There's a bit of an issue with the dimmer curve. If you're a programmer or a designer, you've been using them, you probably noticed that there's a dimmer curve issue with the firmware.
Dimmer curve. We had some weird power things with them, but I don't blame like M strikes in total for that. Probably just this one fixture kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, the dimmer curve thing really kills those lights. And then
Yeah. It makes it hard cloning if you're a programmer too from JDCs to those because they're supposed to be pretty similar,
which yeah, it's
but they're not
It's
when
not.
it comes to profile and firmware.
and then we also had the course lines. Was it the course lines? The Elation course lines.
Yeah.
And you could tell.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you could tell like what I don't remember the company we rented from for that one, but they were workhorses for them because these things were through the trenches in warfare, like
I bet.
just the way they looked and stuff. So those are
one of my
fun.
favorite fixtures. If you can't afford the X4 bars and you need an outdoor rated one, I think. Actually, no, that's the
No, they're not.
Razor.
Yeah.
The course line is literally an X4 bar.
I will say
Maybe
we had a couple
more
issues with the
affordable, I
course
think.
lines just because, and like this is the first time where I've genuinely felt that like firmware has mattered for a fixture I've used. Like you can get a fixture that's like, oh, this is on firmware 2.1 and this one's on 2.2, and it doesn't like you couldn't tell why there's a difference there.
Right.
And with these, like not every single one, but like half of them were on 1.9 and half of them were on 1.8, and the main difference was how they do handle dimmer curve.
Right.
Which
It's true.
So you can't mix the
You see
fixtures
a
together.
different
So yeah, literally
difference.
that was like the craziest part was like
That's rough.
so which like again you can't blame I don't blame Elation for that. That's an issue with just how they were software handled. But we
True.
figured it out, like 1.9 got to go on the back row.
Production companies update your firmware when needed and make sure they match.
Maybe don't. Honestly,
Or don't, just
we've
keep
ran
them on
into
the
some where
originals.
it's like maybe not the original, but like if you have an issue. But yeah, for the most part, like we've had some companies where they've updated the firmware to the newest one, and it's like, hey, like you just bricked your light. Like there's an
true.
issue here that
Roll it back
Yeah,
at
roll it
that
back.
point.
So,
It's crazy.
that was a crazy experience.
So, do you remember where you went on that tour for Brooke? The states?
oh gosh, you're gonna
What was the best state? What had the best food, I guess? That's
the
what we're
best
going to ask.
food.
Then we'll go to Europe
Oh,
and ask what the best food was there.
Yeah.
But Europe,
I actually
or
have
Europe.
okay. I already have
American tour,
I already have my answer for
best
the
food.
yeah
Food.
So what's weird is we had like good old fashioned like church catering for a lot of it.
Amen.
Not bad, but it's like, hey, like, oh, what's for dinner tonight? It's like, oh, it's chickens and vegetables and rice. And it's like, okay, you go to the next place. Hey, what are we doing for dinner tonight? Chickens and vegetables and rice.
Of course.
Because there's like 30 of you guys. What do you
The
mean?
South.
So
Fried
like,
chicken and rice.
not like a big issue, right? But there's stuff like that. But probably my favorite meal is we went to, and this wasn't like catering. We just on one of our off days what was it? It was in Kansas, I think. We went to a Mexican restaurant because there's
Not what I would expect
there's
in Kansas.
no way, right? There's no way
I
it's
was
good.
expecting
And we went, and
barbecue.
it was actually very good. I had
Wow.
I had fish tacos
Surprising.
and stuff, but it wasn't like any of the food was bad. My favorite meal we stopped at was we went to we got not Buffalo Wild Wings, Wingstop one night. It was like 2 a.m. We're exhausted. They're like, hey guys, like we might not be able to make it to get Wingstop. And one of our guys literally
no.
left, like one of our volunteer hands was like, I'm gonna go get you guys Wingstop.
It's happening.
And he brought back like 6 bags
I'm gonna
of
need
like
the whole
wings
menu.
and fries. And it's like, oh my gosh,
Clarabelle,
this is heaven.
give me the whole menu, please.
But yeah, we did like basically a whole East Coast run in a sense.
Very nice.
So we went down the coast, then did like a weird hop over to Nashville, then like back to North Carolina, then straight up to like Chicago. And then
Chicago.
I kept getting made fun of. What is the abbreviation of MO? Which state would you think that is? I can
I
tell you
would
which state I thought
say-
it was.
Man.
Come on, you gotta
M-O?
you gotta know your states now. This is the hard one.
Oh. Montana?
That's what I thought. Ray, don't even shake your head
Is
like
it
that.
not Montana?
It is not. I was like,
What
why
is
are we
it?
going to Montana? Like, this is a weird stop. It's Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah, like the Maroon 5 song. I'm in Missouri.
O in Missouri? Missouri?
Yes, there's an O.
Shout out to Daryl.
But that's because
Daryl's from
Montana
Missouri.
is
You
MN.
went by Missouri and didn't even tell Daryl you were going there? And you
I
had
didn't-
Chavez problems.
I didn't know.
Wow.
I
Daryl,
literally didn't
Daryl,
know.
hit this guy up. Hit him up.
No, we didn't use the Chavez.
Oh,
We
never
switched
mind.
to the JDCs. Yeah. No, but literally,
They ended up switching to them.
I wake up in the morning.
Yikes.
I wake up in the morning expecting to. I literally looked up the weather for Montana. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be cold. I get outside and I'm like, dude, it's really humid and hot in Montana. Like, and everyone was making fun of me. And they're like, dude, we're in Missouri.
That's terrible.
That was the joke the whole day. Was
Love
like, hey,
it.
like Nick, do you want to go run to the store? Like, just up a couple hundred miles up in Montana.
Oh, man.
They're like looking up places
Go to the
in Montana.
glaciers,
to
you
go.
know?
Yeah, and then we ended
Nuts.
in Texas.
What are the odds?
So
Pretty high, apparently. They
Yeah.
end up in Missouri instead of
Yeah.
Montana. Who knew? I would have probably thought the same thing at that point.
yeah, which that just shows how much I travel in the States.
Now you're a pro. So tell us about Europe. How was that?
Yeah, it was Eastern.
Eastern Europe, too.
No, it was all Western Europe.
Western
But
Europe.
From where we are now is Eastern.
There you go.
That's what you meant?
Yeah, how was Europe?
Oh, you want to know?
No,
more
yeah.
about- No.
Tell us about Europe.
Yeah, Europe was a
What
fun
blast
one.
it look like?
It genuinely was a blast. All the Bethel guys are really cool. Like, it was good hangs. you,
Who was
like,
on the crew? Do you remember them all?
on like the production crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was me, Nick Valdez, Leah Monroe, Jonah Thompson, Matthew, he the monitor guy, DeLemos. I want to say his last name is.
Delemos?
Was that it for crew?
Don't forget Anthony.
Oh right, yeah, no,
Grillo.
yeah, stage
Grillo.
manager Anthony Grillo was stage
Grillo.
manager. That was crew, and then the band was the Bethel band,
Of course.
stuff like that.
Legendary.
But it
Love
was
it.
it was sick. I got asked like really late on if I could do the programming for it, and so it was actually so late on that
It was
it
weeks before. I think it was like 2 weeks.
was literally like 2 or 3 weeks before.
kind of crazy.
It was crazy, and it was I got actually really lucky because the guy who was supposed to go on it made all the show files already, so I didn't have to worry about
There
any
you
of that,
go.
which was great.
Thanks, Andrew.
I just had to, yeah. Couch, Andrew Couch. Which camera are you in?
He's in one of them.
Thank you. But yeah, I had to update a few things, But
Very cool.
as it was like the difference between like light tech and programming is literally just how much I sweated. Like
I bet.
it was
You
insane.
didn't sweat that much in Europe?
Well,
did you?
it's just a lot less physical labor.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You white glove it pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't white glove. Well,
Well.
Okay.
Well.
okay.
I mean,
Okay, yeah.
was the rig hung when you got there?
Well, yeah, but like,
Well, there you go.
and the board was turned on, and my show file was on.
Oh,
But
there you go.
like, I had to pull a couple faders up and down. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Well, there you go.
But like, there are two completely different experiences
True.
with
Very
it.
true. So what was it like going from programming at church every week to programming or updating on a tour every week? What would you say was the
I wouldn't say it was
pros and the
every week.
cons?
Yeah. So
Like touring for people who are thinking about getting into it, what should they know? What did you learn? What was different?
definitely know, like probably the biggest thing is like actually know the console well, because you're gonna walk into. I shouldn't say know the console, know the software well. Like that was the main thing with the MA stuff was like I would walk into a venue and every venue was like a different console in a sense. Like one was an
True.
MA3 light, with like MA2 software. One was an MA2 command wing with another wing attached to it.
Ooh.
One was an MA2 full. Like so, like it's not like the software changes, but what you can actually use layout wise and stuff.
Right.
So trying like you have to think of, okay, what's the smallest rig I'm gonna have, which was basically an MA2 command wing. Like was like I get like 10 faders and that's it. So how
Right.
do I translate the show that I did yesterday, the same show with
On a full size.
on a full size
potentially, yeah.
with what 20 faders or something like that,
It's-
plus all
it's
the
up there.
plus all the execution buttons, like
Yeah.
where I can lay everything.
Down to
And now I have to
10.
go like, oh, like how do I translate that to the same thing?
It's true.
That was like the main thing you should know. But I mean, basically the main difference is you kind of can think a lot more out in a sense. Like when it comes to songs and stuff, you really like maybe your first show, like you're still trying to figure it out, especially if you don't know the music. That's probably the other thing is like know the music. I mean, I spent literally it was a 14-hour flight, and that's all I listened to
Sheesh.
was the Bethel music because I'm like,
And you don't listen to Bethel music a ton, do you?
I mean, it's not like I'm sitting here like.
I mean, they play it at church.
Yeah, and I know a good amount of their songs, but like now I'm listening to like nuanced stuff, like hey, what are the drums doing
Right,
here?
right.
Like,
You're doing
are
more
they doing
detailed
something?
listening.
Are they doing something with the keys? Like, what's
Very
the
true.
What are we looking at BPM wise? Like, is this something where I can kind of do a lot more, or like
Right.
should I tone it back, kind of thing? So like, there's just things like that. Like, you absolutely need to know the music, and then probably like the last big thing you need to know for me was like. I like to make sure the band is good with what I'm doing. So like I went up and talked to them like, hey, what do you actually want for this? Like
Right.
sometimes it would be like creative guy, and then sometimes it would be like the band asking for specific things, and which is like, at least for I would say how we run church here, we're not getting a lot of comments from the band like, hey,
Right.
can we do this like for the opening?
They're,
Like,
they're pretty trusting.
they're
with
pretty
us,
trusting with us, yeah. Like,
But we do like to keep tabs and say, hey, like
well, yeah,
this
obviously,
new song that you came out with,
yeah.
what would you like it to look like or feel like? You
Yeah,
know?
like we did our church's new song, and we were very big into like, hey, we want to give this a look kind of thing,
Right.
which helps define it. But like on a normal Sunday morning, if they're singing someone else's band, like they're very trustworthy with us. But when it comes to this tour side of things, I was very big on like, hey, like I want to know. Well, number one, I asked video guy like, because we have all this video content, like what colors are you doing? Like, because obviously I'm trying to match it here. Like I'm not
Right.
trying to do red and you're doing green or something like that. And then it's like I'm going to the band like, hey, do you want something big for this, or like do we want like this kind of like somber moment for the song because it's really slow, like trying to get their image across, especially since I'm not their normal guy. Like
Right.
I'm not trying to deliver a totally different setup than maybe what they want
Yeah.
or what they're used to, kind of thing.
Very true.
And then that was probably, I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's one of those things where it's like I looked at like music videos and some stuff they do, and at least with the Bethel guys, their music videos. I mean, we went to their homecoming recording, and then
True.
I was a part of
It was
their
next level.
I was part of their come up here recording. And
That's right.
and like as much as like it's very high energy, especially in the room and stuff. But when you like look at like what they do with the lighting and stuff, they're not doing an insane amount of stuff.
Right.
And
They're
so,
really subtle and
but so
big looks.
yeah. So I go on tour and I'm asking the questions like, hey, is this what we're doing? Like, is it very big looks but like very subtle like movements and stuff? And they're like, yeah, for some of the songs, but like it's tour. Like we want it to be fun and energetic and stuff,
Right.
so that we can break that mold a little bit. Which is like, again, if I didn't ask them and I just assumed off watching their videos,
Right.
there would have been songs where like they want this super high energy thing, and it basically would have been like, oh no, I thought we were just sitting here doing kind
Yeah.
of nothing. So
They were just ramping and building up.
yeah,
Okay, so next we're gonna ask Nick about his fixture selections in Europe. What kind
Yeah.
of fixtures were you messing with? And tell me honestly, like, hey, this is why people watch this. What was the worst fixture you had to work with? And maybe it wasn't the fixture manufacturer's fault, but maybe it just wasn't the best maintained.
okay. So I will say this: starting out, there was not one fixture that was like, oh, this fixture like actually sucks and stuff. Right?
Good.
Like
That's good to hear.
and mostly because there was a lot of like Chinese knockoff fixtures. Not like
Oh, well, there you go.
yeah, like there wasn't a lot of like the major brand stuff is what you would expect.
Makes sense.
There was one or two shows that had that, but there was actually my biggest issue with a lot of the shows was it wasn't the same fixtures for like so like I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say like I had a downstage and upstage truss of R2 washes, right?
Right.
Except just the downstage was R2 washes and the other one was some other brand
Oh.
of washes. But the
Right.
same idea. So you point them up to do an audience thing
Right.
and their red is two different reds.
Oh,
And so you go,
yeah.
oh, like what do I have to do in this situation? And
that's always rough. It's like the XBs versus the regular auras. They don't have the same
yes,
color at all.
Absolutely,
It's
yes.
crazy.
And so
Probably 'cause one
basically
is brighter.
well, that and at least for ours is you have age considerations and stuff like that. But
True, they're way older now.
so then what do you do in that situation where obviously you have to go in and match the colors up as
Right.
close as you can. Some colors won't match up properly and stuff. That was my biggest issue. Was like I think only 2 shows had it to where it was like all the fixtures of this type or this type were the same fixtures. So which was like the big show at the end, and then there was a show in a gymnasium for like the town, like a
Right.
high school gymnasium. And again, it wasn't like any major brand. I don't remember the brand, to be honest with you, but I was just excited that they were all the same fixture because the colors just all matched. And
True.
a lot of the shows were like,
Like
hey,
butter.
yeah, just I don't know if it's supply constraint or like it's a lot harder to get fixtures over there, I guess, like when you need a good amount of them and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't really have a fixture that like I just genuinely was like, wow, this is
This is
horrible.
good. This
Yeah.
is good for Europe.
No, I mean they've like a lot
Europe
of these
is
companies
kicking
have stepped up like their light production and stuff. It's kind of
Totally.
crazy.
Totally. Okay.
I do. One place was normal par 64s for front light,
Oh,
which like don't get me
no.
wrong, there's nothing wrong with par
old
64s.
school for sure.
Nothing wrong with par 64s, but when
Kids, those were incandescent par cans.
warm
Couldn't change the
incandescence.
colors except for with gel film that went in
And-
front of the par can.
And they weren't. It's not like they just were a normal stage wash, but for a lot of the looks, we just wanted kind of like a more spotlight look on the
Right.
on like the lead singer, and so because of the positions of the band, it turns out like you needed 2 pars to hit them because they were in like the weird middle spot,
Right.
And so, but now we're lighting up a lot more, so it's like, what do we, yeah,
Yeah.
but like
rough.
again, not a fixture issue, just more of a
True.
design issue in that sense. So.
Very true. All right, now you got to answer the question. What was the best food in Europe?
I will tell you right now, my favorite thing, and I have no idea what it's called. Actually, I do, because I have a picture.
was?
It was Zerker Spatzel. Or
Spatzel.
Spatzli.
Spätzle.
It was sliced pork meat, mushroom cream sauce, and gratinated cheese.
Mushroom cream sauce.
It was basically...
Ray, have you been to Europe? But not where he's been. Like, not that part. Where was that again?
He's only been to Czechoslovakia.
Oh, was it pretty there?
I think Brian got deported from, what was it, Austria? For all those crimes you've done? Yeah.
Yeah, you little German, you. Oh,
That's
cut
Austria.
that part out. Auschwitz. Oh, shit.
Austria.
Cut that part out. Okay, we're going back in. Food.
Anyway.
That sounded really good.
And I know you know what this is.
Oh.
And everyone in this room, but
Of course.
I might lose
Mostly
the
the
audience.
viewer at
I
home,
might lose
maybe.
the audience here.
Oh, we're international
Do you
on YouTube.
know? Do you know what tater tot casserole is?
Oh, yeah.
So imagine a gourmet version of tater tot casserole.
Oh.
That's what this was.
Tater tot casserole.
It was
Some of you don't know.
so good.
Nick's family, I guess let's start with your mom, right? I don't know who invented it in the family, but
I mean,
your mom makes it
it's
the
a pass
best.
down. It's a pass down thing. You've never had.
It's
okay.
tater tots layered.
You've
with,
never
like,
had my grandma
cream
make
of
it,
mushroom
and
and like
her family
corn and
make it.
stuff in there, and it's like layered in there. It's delicious.
It's great.
It's really good.
Love
And
it.
ground beef, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah, but it's basically like a
ridiculous. Now I'm
fancy
hungry.
fancy gourmet version of that, which was very good.
Down.
And then in Germany, I had the only mac and cheese I've actually ever liked,
Really?
and that's because it was like a crunchy mac and cheese. Because I don't like the texture of mac and cheese,
Oh yeah.
but it was,
I
yeah,
do like a good crunchy mac and cheese.
And I only got it because I actually didn't know
Oh.
what I was ordering.
Sounds good.
I was at the restaurant and I'm like, yeah, can I get? And I say, I don't remember the name of it. I say the name of it, and they're like, oh, what'd you get? And I was like, oh, this. And I'm like, oh, what is that? And I'm like, oh, I don't know, but like,
It's the what is number 5 on the menu?
when in Germany, you know, and then they bring out this plate of basically mac and cheese.
Oh,
And I was like, oh,
Big ole.
no. But it was like crispy.
ole
Again,
thing.
it was crispy. So it was actually like one of the only plates of mac and cheese I've ever
sounds
really liked.
kind of good now. Mac and cheese.
Yeah, I will say the food difference between
Did it taste like just better for you, even though it was probably fried or whatever?
You know what's crazy? Is everything just tasted better. I don't even know if it tasted. I don't even know
like
if it's
no
better for
corn
you.
syrup.
It just tasted better. And then like
Yeah.
Coke has
Made
like
better for you.
Coke has like half the sugar in it.
Cor-
It was crazy. Like
Europe's just got it.
you know what? You know what I didn't like in Europe though, was the coffee.
Really?
It's like
That's
actual.
surprising.
It's like actual. No. And I'm not a coffee.
I mean, I
I'm-
guess coffee isn't necessarily known in Europe.
no.
It's more like a Guatemala, like South America. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
but-
where all the best beans come from, it sounds like, right? Right, barista?
I mean, there's some
Right.
like very, very nice coffee places. My issue is like it's real coffee. It's like real dark roast coffee.
Oh.
And
I
like you
would've
would
loved
walk in,
it.
you would walk into a
would've
place and you're
loved
like, yeah,
I
can I
love
get
dark
a,
roast.
can I get like a latte with vanilla in it? One of the guys literally walked in. He's like, can I
Alright,
get a
what is
vanilla
that?
latte? And they literally like, we don't have like syrup or anything. And they're like, what do you mean? He's like, and the
It's
guy literally
black
points to a
coffee.
chart and he's like, it's like a pie chart. And he's like, you can pick any one of these beans and we'll brew it. And
That's it.
we can add milk to it.
And it's black.
Yeah. And he's like,
Ooh.
and he's like, no, I'm good. Because he just couldn't drink it.
On to the McDonald's.
Which was very funny. McDonald's was great. Loved it.
McDonald's is great. Wow.
It was
Great.
like you genuinely can taste just it's like better food. I don't know what it
Looks
is.
good.
It's probably actually real food.
I'm going there actually in September, and I'm excited.
to McDonald's?
Or in London, yeah.
Oh, you know,
Maybe.
I didn't want to
They
say
might
it.
have fish and
That's
chips.
I didn't want to say it, but you're bringing it up.
They didn't have the best food, I think is what you told me.
The UK was the worst place to eat.
That's what I'm not looking forward to, honestly. So probably won't spend much time in many restaurants. there, but-
Norway was very funny because
Unless you're watching this and you're from England, tell us
yeah,
where's
let us
some
know,
good
yeah.
spots, because
Um,
I don't know.
Norway is one of the host families was like, hey, we want to treat you guys out to like a barbecue and everything, and so like we're all trying to figure out like what does that mean. So we get to the place and they're like, oh, like yeah, barbecue's ready, get inside. Norway barbecue is hamburgers and hot dogs.
It's like American barbecue.
No, that's what they're
mostly.
saying. They're like, what would you?
Or
They're like, what were you
California
expecting?
barbecue.
They literally asked, her, like, what were you expecting? It's barbecue. And we're like, I don't know, like what Norway barbecue is. It's like it's just barbecue. Like,
It's true. It's not brisket.
no, that's American barbecue.
That is American. That's Southern American barbecue.
American.
Because American barbecue in California is hamburgers and hot
Yeah.
dogs.
You know, I'm glad we could spend
most
this
part.
much time talking about the food
We
choices.
did talk about food a lot
No,
for that
it's-
segment.
It's a genuine concern, though. Like,
It is.
This
Especially if you're touring.
this
You
is what
just
real
need
people
good
wanna know, like-
sustenance. It's the important parts.
Like they heard like, oh, the lights are cool, like the programming is cool, but like
true.
let's talk about the actual
Let's talk
things that
about the
matter.
actual
Food.
things, yeah. So we're gonna come back to stateside. We had a pretty big event just a few weeks ago.
We did, and
The
that
Harvest
was
Crusade.
Vacation Bible School.
Oh gosh, that's right. That happened before the crusade.
Ryan's dying.
Every
over there.
church tech out there who's watching this knows what Vacation Bible Study is. If you don't work at a church, maybe you don't know what it is at all. It's essentially summer school, not summer school,
Like a
summer camp.
Yeah.
It's a summer camp
like a
for a
church
week
camp.
at the church.
Just you don't actually stay there in camp. You go
You
home.
know, you come every day. Yeah. Sorry, we have to cut that in. I burped.
I didn't hear it, to be fair.
I didn't either.
Good. But still, the pause, I guess, is weird. So VBS, as we call it, was a week long for us, but
2
times
weeks
two because
long.
we've got 2 campuses. Thanks.
You're right.
That's right. That's right. And God, is that you?
Can you see Brian in any of these shots or no?
No.
Oh, that makes it even better.
I don't
great.
want to be seen.
That's good. He's the unknown voice.
You know what was funny is I've done a couple like shoots with like people like wearing their Brian position, and I'm always wondering like, what do they think this guy looks like?
Yeah.
Little mystery.
You'll never know. You
I
might
mean, they
see
would
him
if
in
they
some
found
posts.
his Instagram or
Yeah, he'll be tagged. in the
us.
video.
But getting
Shout
back
out.
to VBS,
Yes, VBS is a wild event here. We had over 700 kids, I think, is what it ended up being, something like that.
at this one campus,
At
and
this
then,
campus,
then the
Riverside
other campus was
campus.
like 400 almost.
Yeah, so we
like-
had over 1,000 kids.
It was crazy.
And it was nuts. We do a big thing, big show. They do a dance crew, synchronized video clips and everything. It's a hoot for sure.
You know, every year we
We'll
like
put some pictures in the video.
every year we get into it, and we're like, oh, like especially this year because we had the Crusade coming up like right
That's
after.
right. It was a bit of a cluster that last
Yeah.
few weeks there. It was
So-
pretty much a VBS pack
Yeah.
crusade.
So we always get into VBS and it's like, oh gosh, like I don't want to do VBS. This is, and then we like basically get through a day or two, and at least me, I'm like, let's go VBS.
Yes.
It's
Once
so
you're in
much.
it,
It's
once you're
so
in
much fun.
Once you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah. So
And then the last week, which was Orange County, our Irvine Orange County campus,
Mm-hmm.
you had to actually kind of almost do double duty because you were prevising
I got
the
lucky.
Crusade
Yeah.
during the OC VBS.
Yeah.
And this was your first time using Depends. It was my first time using Depends. We used a guy to make it, Charlie Pike. Thank you.
Thank God he made that because
Yeah. So we used Depends for the first time. We'll probably let's talk about Depends because Depends is like the up and coming visualizer right now, and everybody's using it. It is.
I mean, I really enjoy it.
It came out of nowhere. They have a lot of plugins if you don't know, and I'm pretty sure Disney uses this. If you're watching this from Disney, you can correct me, but I'm pretty sure they use it for the fireworks, is my understanding, and it does fountain rendering. Like they have a whole plugin
Like water sim?
program for fountains. Yeah, and
Oh, that's cool.
they use it to Wet Design uses it to program their fountain shows. So
yeah, you're into
pretty
like
nuts.
the visualizer board. What besides Depends, and I know we use like Converse.
we
What's-
used like
like,
Converse
what's
for
the
a very
other-
long time, and
what's
we
the
still
big-
do for our
Yeah.
designs.
And what's the other what's the big one that you would consider
So
like?
there's like some leaders in the field. The top ones would be, I think, right now top of the line is WYSIWYG, Depends, like
Okay.
Converse, Vision is up there, and honestly, kind of coming behind the pack and picking up speed is Capture, which is partnered with Elation, their
Yeah.
Obsidian line of consoles, or Onyx line of controllers.
Yeah.
And that's a great software if you're just getting started. But top of the line, the most realistic looking, it does true random strobe, which we loved because you can actually simulate your strobes randomly,
Yeah.
is Depends by Synchronorm.
Yeah.
And it is great.
I really liked it just because when you look at like when you look at some other visualizers and you just turn the light on at full, it's not like an actual representation of what the light would look like
Right.
full. And what was really nice about Depends is like I don't know if it's calculating based off like some measurement it has for the light, but it just felt like at least when we got to the actual venue, like what I was actually recording in previs intensity wise, because that was our biggest concern was like, is this going to look like anything we actually programmed?
And it was pretty
it was
close.
genuinely like very close. Like we had to
very
change
close.
very little on intensity value wise
Yeah,
for a lot of
great.
our stuff, which is great for me. And then like you could focus gobos in it. You could do a full gobo.
Blending, which is great
worked
with
really well.
animation effects
Yeah,
and everything.
blending.
It does all that, which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Love that.
And the only part for us that we had to fix was the venue we had wasn't a true. It wasn't the actual.
Right.
Like,
We used a
we used this-
generic arena
right,
shell
we used
for the
which I mean worked
shell of the building.
worked great. Like we still got everything we needed out of it
Right.
and stuff. And then it really let us figure out like maybe some trouble spots with like how we're going to do audience lighting or like what do we actually want stage to look like and stuff like that.
Right.
We could get colors figured out pretty quick. My favorite part about it was just being able because a lot of the show was busking just because
Right.
of some of the issues we're into, which we could talk about. So like being able to get basically all my effects built out ahead of time for a busking show, like, I mean, you can't beat
True.
that. It was great.
Very true. So let's dig into that, the programming side of it, because this is the second year that you've ran lights for the Crusade,
Yeah.
but this is the first year where you actually got the pre-visit and actually dig into programming.
yeah.
It's
Last
a
year was
substantially bigger design than you normally would get to program, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so tell me, how was it going from like our normal stage or the normal gigs you do to an arena of that size with that big of a rig? Because it was like 24 universes, I think, is what we ended up at.
I mean, when we look
And
at like what we did last
300
year.
plus fixtures.
Yeah, when we look at what we did last year in Angel Stadium, we were at like 100 fixtures, maybe. Like,
Yeah.
and now we were at like 300 fixtures. And I know
Yeah,
like
300.
people are gonna be like,
300
oh, those
something.
are strips. Like I was like, even without the strips, we were at like 130
The
fixtures.
strips are, in my opinion, more complicated because they're technically individual
yeah.
fixtures, if you think about it. And you got to like really think about the effects more because it is a strip and you don't
Yeah.
just want it to be on and changing colors.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
So,
if you
yeah.
want to count like true fixtures, like we still had over 150 fixtures that
Oh,
we
yeah.
had to program out. Like,
Yeah.
it was not a small show at all. And so,
Should we go through the fixture list, do you think, for people? So we've got a list of the fixture that we used.
mm-hmm.
And we used, honestly, a plethora of fixtures. Like, it was a lot. We did stick to certain brands that we liked
For this show,
for this show.
okay, I thought you were saying in general. I was like, yeah, we use all kinds of brands.
For the
But-
most part, though, these are fixtures that we've used before, with the exception of two, I think. We used
Yeah,
the Acme
actually.
Pixel line IPs, which are the strip fixtures. You'll see them in the photos, and we'll probably put some B-roll in here that I'll send.
Yeah,
These are probably my favorite fixture. They're very bright. It's it's a static JDC,
yeah.
essentially.
Without those, I think the rig, like, don't get me wrong, the rest of the rig was insane. But without those, like, it really just
brought it all
sealed
in.
the deal for like an arena show in a sense.
Totally. It really brought people into it
Yeah.
instead of them looking at it, which is a pitfall I think a lot of designs fall into, is they think so much about the stage, but a lot of the artists want to be in there and bring them into the show with them. And it's a lot of different things. A lot of people use wristbands or, you know, lighting around it, washes or whatever.
Well, and it's also, you
gobos.
just have to think like I mean, most big events now are being like not broadcasters, but they're being
Yeah.
recorded.
Yeah.
If they're not being broadcast, they're still being
You wanna
recorded. So
see.
you have to account like there's a whole
Yeah.
like you look at our show for instance. Like we filled that arena. Like if our audience was black, it would look lame. It would
Yeah.
literally
you
look
wouldn't
lame.
notice. It doesn't
Or
have
like-
the same
yeah.
impact when you can't see anybody in the room
Mhm.
enjoying it too. So that was my favorite fixture, the Pixel lines.
Yeah.
From Acme. They're actually technically like a knockoff company. I mean, they don't have many, like, they're not as well known as the other companies, and they started as making duplicates of fixtures that were made by like companies like Elation, Clay Packing, all them. But now they're
I don't
coming
know
up-
if knockoffs. I would say like they're focusing more on like what, like because you can have some companies where they're like, hey, like we have this product and it's like, who's this for? Like, oh, it turns out it's for one specific client because they're gonna buy
Right.
100 of them.
Exactly.
Or like, but like, and I think they're like in this ground where it's like they can step up and be like, hey, like we've actually focused on what people genuinely want,
It's true.
especially in like this venue where it's like, hey, we need a lot of these.
Yeah.
And this is the
Totally.
competitor's not there for it. So, but they were
Yeah.
great. They were genuinely some of our favorite, like for like a standalone wash / strobe.
And they're making a lot of great products,
Yeah.
Acme. Like, if you haven't looked at Acme lately in your designer, looking at fixtures, definitely take a look. They got a lot of great fixtures. The first show that I saw that turned me on to them was Billie Eilish. She used a ton of I don't remember the names, but I'll put the link in there. It's essentially a magic panel or magic blade with a strobe on the other side of it. It's nuts.
Yeah.
And seeing this, which was cool also, is it has that electronic frost for the lens. It doesn't have a frost like you would in a normal fixture. The lens actually frosts electronically
Yeah.
like you would a shower at a hotel or something.
It would have been cool to have them in like a spot that would have better shown that off. I think just
Yeah.
because we had them as a full arena surround, like you couldn't really notice the frost on or off that much.
It's
but
definitely
like,
more of the eye candy effect that
but
it
yeah,
probably
it,
helps with.
like it's great that they have it in there. Like I'm not going
Totally.
to obviously turn down that they have it. So
The other fixtures that we use were probably one of my favorite washes ever, along with the Aura, is the Quantum washes. I've been a fan of those for a while.
Yeah,
we
big
use
bright
the
boys,
Artiste Monets, which we've used a few times before.
yeah,
We used them as key lighting last year, which were great. This year we used them as our primary profile fixture for the entire rig and key lighting.
and key
So
lighting.
it's a very great versatile light, multi-purpose, which is great. But tell me, what did you think about the Rembrandt? That's a new wash that we haven't used before, and it's from Elation,
Yeah,
part of their
so-
Artiste series.
So that was this was our first time specking Rembrandts in it, and I mean basically like the way it was sold to me at least. I don't know if you felt the same way, but it's like, hey, like you guys know what the Monet is,
Right.
but what if it was a wash? Like
It's true.
and
It
it's got
paired
the
nicely,
yeah,
colors, intensity.
right, and that was the great part about it is like the colors matched very closely, the intensity. I mean,
Yeah.
the Rembrandt just being a wash, when we're full wash isn't as bright as the Monet, but like we're getting the same idea across. And then you have the Fresnel lens, so everything's looking nice with that. Like it was basically everything we were expecting it to be, just Monet but wash, which is when
Yeah.
we're doing a show like that, like we need something like that.
Totally.
And yeah,
I
it was
very
great.
impressed with that. Elation has come a long way. And they actually came and visited. I think Elation, going to go off topic just a tiny bit, has really improved as a company as far as service. I mean, they never really reached out to us a ton. Again, we didn't use a lot of Elation, but at least like Chauvet, for instance, was always reaching out to us.
Yeah.
But Elation really stepped up their customer service game, I feel. And we've been using their consoles it was formerly Martin, but Elation
I think
consoles
we've been
now
over
for
this.
years.
We're the last remaining Obsidian fans.
Probably.
In the church market, at least.
100%. Yeah, everyone's switching to MA. It's kind of a shame because the console's great.
But what's crazy is we get guys who've never used Obsidian before in here, right?
Yeah.
We're completely off topic, but this is great. We get guys coming in here and they touch the Obsidian for the first time. I'm like, dude, like, I really like this.
true.
Why have I never, like, why don't I
True. I'd
know
like
what
to
this
cut
is?
this up for a piece of social media shout out for them.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're doing their job.
The Obsidian stuff is really great.
Yeah.
And they're coming out with new stuff all the time. Their Onyx line and the Netron stuff, the networking items that they have is
Yeah.
top notch. They just came out with IP65 rated nodes and splitters
Yeah.
and everything, which is amazing.
And I mean, at the event, like, a couple of their guys showed up just to see, like,
just to come and check it out. Nothing was on and working necessarily. They just wanted
yeah.
to come hang and check it out.
They wanted to see, like, hey, are you guys having any issues? Like, what do you think of something like this? They were kind of showing, like, throwing ideas to us about, like what we would want to see in like a new fixture, or like what are we looking at board wise and stuff like that. But they were
Which
genuinely
we typically don't get from manufacturers reaching out like that
Yeah.
to like what we would like to see in a fixture from someone doing an event that's not very popular out there. Like we're not the Billie Eilish show or
oh yeah, like
Coldplay, but them actually caring about a part of the market that honestly does buy a lot. Like the smaller mid-range markets, schools, churches, colleges. Caring about what they're looking for, I think is really important
and then
for a manufacturer.
just also just the big thing of like it also wasn't like, hey, like we're not here as like PR reps, like, oh, something went wrong, we want to fix it, or like, hey, we want to show you this and stuff. They were also just there to like see how we were doing, like, because they knew, like, I mean, I don't know if we're going to talk about it or not, but like load-in was like very tight and like
load-in was rough.
it was a little stressful in situations,
And then they just we should have added a pre-rig day.
Should have added. Always keep that
A
pre-rig
tip
day.
for you people designing arena shows: I think a pre-rig day saves lives. So,
but yeah, like
saves years off your life.
just the fact that they were there, like they're gonna do the business side of things, but then they also just like hung out and talked
Yeah,
to
they
us.
just
Like,
wanted to hang out. And the people that they brought on, they're from other companies that we loved. They formerly worked with under other manufacturers that we have worked with very closely, and we know them, they know us, and they've moved into the Elation world, and they just knew us, and they're like just continuing the relationship. It's a new company, new brand, new umbrella, but it's still the same great people. So that's what's great about it.
Yeah, I'm not saying like I don't think we're saying like Elation's the only one doing this. Like there's other great brands out there doing that.
Chauvet does an amazing job too.
It's just great that like more companies are getting involved with this
Yeah,
thing,
it definitely feels like they're putting more effort into the end user relationship side, not just the products themselves.
Yeah.
The other fixtures we use are obviously have been our favorites. We use them almost in every design. I feel when we do a crusade is the JDC strobe. That's
Okay.
still my favorite strobe.
I was gonna say, let's talk as lighting, guys. And when you're doing an arena show, you're gonna have some sort of strobe,
You're gonna have some sort of strobe and a blinder.
and it's gonna be the JDC.
So you might as well use one fixture
Yeah.
for both, and it might as well be the JDC because it's amazing.
I mean,
Bright, it's versatile, great colors on it.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of great built-in effects. 23 channel mode is honestly the only mode you need on that thing.
the only complaint that we've ever had,
Mm-hmm.
and that's programming it on the MA because it's the 3 dimmer thing.
Programming on the MA is not that great, but on the Obsidian console,
It does work better, yeah.
it's very easy.
Yeah, it does work better for us.
Also, GLP, the Impression X4 bars.
Staple.
I love those fixtures. I think they're the best strip fixtures still. For the price, for what it does,
for a moving
how
head,
light,
moving
what
head
it
and
does.
zoom
Yeah.
strip, yeah, it's a
great.
staple.
Another feature we did use, another product, I guess it's a product that we use was Spot Track. Explain Spot Track to me.
Yeah, so
to the audience.
To the audience, that one can't see me. This one can see me, right?
Yes.
So basically, like with how our setup is, because I'm going to talk about our setup specifically. We're basically using Monets, and what we're doing is we're attaching a camera to them, and so we're able to actually, once we map out the stage on a software program, we're actually able to use our mouse to basically use it as a. It's not basically; it is a follow spot.
Yeah, you're
in that
follow
sense,
spotting with the mouse.
So and
Pretty much, if you're a gamer, you'd be a great follow spot.
yeah, and it was great because we could do follow spot for certain things, or if we didn't want to do follow spot, it's literally on my board. It's a whole separate system. I should also say that. So if I didn't want to use follow spot for, let's say, our offering look, I hit one button on my board that just disables the signal to it, and all of a sudden they're not following anymore.
And boom, it's very versatile.
Yeah.
I love that software, and it's from BCT Entertainment out here, who also provide all the lighting for the Crusade.
Yeah,
They rent it out for shows all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not the only show. But I really loved it. And I think it's definitely going to be I've already got people asking me about it because it's the first follow spot system other than Zack Track, I think, that can literally work with any fixture.
and that's the big thing. Yeah, is like
You
no
could-
matter what you're
we
speccing.
used it on a Monet, a Maximus. I've seen people use it with Encores, all this other stuff as well. I think they've got to deal with Chauvet where they're going to add integration into those
I think they
fixtures.
showed us something where they put it on a Synchrolite or whatever.
They
Just
put
to,
it on a Synchrolite, yeah.
just to show it like how
Yeah.
it doesn't
It's
matter.
nuts.
Yeah, it
And
was great.
essentially, they just add a camera to the fixture and a Cat 5 cable, I think is what it is.
Yeah, it was a Cat 5
And that's
cable.
it.
And
And it
then
works.
you can also, like, at least for us, we decided that all they can control was pan and tilt. But
Right.
if we
You
were,
could pick
because
anything.
our stage was not the biggest stage. It was a good size stage. But if, let's say, you needed a bigger stage, like, you could also make it so where they control color and iris. So, like,
Right.
if all of a sudden the person's moving too far away, they can just open up the iris a little
Yeah.
bit just to open that. And it's like just one less thing for me to worry about
Yeah,
in a
totally.
sense. For, like, especially performers. Like, some of our bands are nuts. They're just going to take off and run. And
Yeah.
as much as you can go, oh, we'll just do a full stage wash. Like, sometimes you don't want a full stage wash. Like,
true.
that spotlight.
Yeah, these
It
remote
really sells.
follow spot systems are going to put follow spots out of business, I feel, unfortunately. But I think it presents an opportunity for more fixture integration into rigs, and it's definitely a more comfortable way to run a follow spot for the operators, which
Yeah,
is
and
huge.
I mean, you could think of, like, again, it's cost value versus, like, we're doing a show where, like, we don't know if what we're doing per se.
Right.
Like, again, like, this is just part of our event. Like, we're not sure what the blocking is or anything, and so
Right.
like we kind of need that flexibility. So, in this remote follow spot system was really good for us. But like,
true.
yeah, I mean, it was a great system. Loved it. I zero complaints.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Another thing that we used a lot of on this show was LED. We used an insane amount of LED tiles from Concept Pixels. It was row CB5 panels.
It was a lot of
Probably my favorite tile to use in an arena show because it's an outdoor fixture or outdoor LED panel, which gives you the brightness, which is what I love about it. And just row has the best looking panels out there, I think.
Yeah, it was basically 60-foot wide, 30-foot tall walls, and just four
And
of them.
Two 40-foot wide.
Yeah, but
30
just
foot
basically in
tall.
a giant square. Like, it was.
It was nuts.
it
You'll
was
see the
insane
pictures
amount
attached right
of
now.
wall. Which, yeah, I mean, like, from my standpoint of things, like, I'm not the biggest fan of that, just because, like, a lot of my lighting couldn't actually shoot in towards the
Right.
stage. But
That was a thing I did notice.
for like,
But man, they look pretty.
yeah, but for like an event we were doing, like, you know,
and it
that's,
really brought because a lot of times our events, like, we don't fill the floor because our pastor wants to give everyone an opportunity to come down to the floor to pray with him. And so they're in the stands. And when we do an end stage, and if we did it in the round, the closest person is maybe 30 feet. And then on end stage, the closest person sometimes could be 50 feet. And in the stadium that we normally go, the closest person is 100 feet or more away.
yeah.
So this really brought the experience right up to them. And when you're sitting in those seats, it felt like the screen was right there.
Yeah, I mean, it filled the room.
So
Like,
it was great.
That was probably the biggest thing about it, was just, it wasn't like some big empty room and like there's a little
Yeah.
stage. Like,
Totally.
it was
used
a
the
good
room.
big, like, this fills the room kind of
Yeah.
thing. So it looked good. Like,
I was happy with it. I think the team did a killer job. You did great. Our vendors did great. And it was successful. I think my favorite performance was Phil did a killer job. Very proud of our band, Harvest Worship,
Yeah, they
who
killed it.
is putting out new music right now. So we love that.
yeah.
And I think also I really loved, and that's just because I love Davis and I love Passion. I love the team there. Is Passion killed it? They played really solid,
Yeah, they did
and they really know how to put on a show. I think they just really killed it.
So that was the fun part, was so we had a lot of issues with pre-programming, right?
Right.
Where like we got to the week of it, and basically what happened is I wasn't running two bands, which was Passion and Tomlin.
Right.
Which is great. Like the guys they brought up, Davis
and Scott.
and Scott, like
Yeah.
they absolutely killed their shows. But a lot of the pre-programming it actually just couldn't be used because we changed so much of the
Right.
line sheet around. So like, and again, that's where we talked about like how I was excited we could do so much effects and
Yeah.
stuff. And so it's funny, like you could just tell the difference between like a busk show, like I'm
And
not
one
saying,
that he's
I'm
been
not saying,
programming
like,
that show for years.
I'm not saying I
It's
did
the same
bad or
show
like
file.
good, but like you can definitely tell like there were parts where like, you know, like, oh, and then you get to Davis or Scott show and it's like, oh my gosh, this
Right.
is like,
And it just shows they know their music
this is the
better than
arena show.
anybody.
Yeah, they killed it.
It's
so.
time coded. It's solid. It's locked in. That's why you want to bring your own lighting guy if you're a band. And if you're on a band, make sure you know their music really well because you really make or break the show, which is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. It was great, and I can't wait to do the next one. I don't know where we're going next. A lot of rumors we might go to Nashville for the Nashville Friends, Nashville Friends out there. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think that's it. I think we've covered a lot for this episode.
I mean, it's been a lot of like just kind of like saying why we've been not really doing much. To be honest
we
with you,
kind
but
of skipped a few weeks of
we've been mad
episodes.
busy. Like,
And we can't guarantee we're going to put out an episode every week, but we're definitely going to try. We got some great friends coming out. I think on the next episode, we're going to have Van Metschke. He's from Vantage Pro as really they're just relations guy. He's just a guy to like hang out, see what you need, how you doing.
well,
He's not really a sales guy. He's a really
we've
good
talked
friend
about, like,
too.
how these companies have been like just really working on their relationship with the end user.
Yeah.
And that's like perfectly what Van does. It's
Exactly.
all
So we're gonna
about the
bring him
relationship
out
with
and
the
talk
end
about
user.
that for sure. Yeah, totally. And then he's going to talk about just his experience. He's been in the church world for a very long time as a tech director, technician. He knows most of our team here really well and has known them for a very long
Yeah.
time.
He's a great guy to talk to. Like if you want to see like how has the industry changed quite a lot.
Yeah,
like
we're going to talk about
especially
all
in
that.
this
like,
world.
for
Like,
when he got started versus now,
Yeah.
how far he's seen things come, what he's worried about, what he loves about it,
Mm-hmm.
what makes his life easier, what makes his life a little more crazy.
yeah.
So we'll talk about all that on the next episode with Van. But what do you want to tell everyone else as we check out?
I don't know. We didn't really plan anything. Was there
Well,
some?
you're going to say subscribe and follow, of course.
Oh yeah.
Cut that. Cut that.
I was like, was I supposed to say something here? Like, don't cut it,
Cut it. Okay. Send him home,
guys. It's
ladies.
guys. This I keep looking at Chris's camera, thinking it could see.
Hey.
Guys, can this
going?
one see me? Can it see my hand? Guys.
I got both of you right.
Yeah. Listen, there's a couple of things we need you to do. Like,
You got to do it.
we like doing these things, but we need
do.
you to subscribe.
We need to know that you're actually listening.
Yeah. We got the YouTube page. We have the Instagram
we have
page.
a YouTube page. We have
We
Instagram.
have the Spotify page.
We're on Spotify. We're on a lot of major podcast stations right now,
Yeah.
and we're expanding literally every week. Like I added 2 more this week, so
Nice.
I don't even know what they are, but they're podcast companies or stations or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, they're not all say subscribe, but we're gonna use that one word because we're lazy here. Like,
Subscribe,
come on,
follow,
we're lighting, guys. Let's get
like
let's
the
get real
video.
here. Yeah.
And obviously, we want our YouTube channel to expand. That's why we're filming this. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, follow, whatever
Absolutely.
they call it, and check out many of the other videos because there's a lot of videos on this YouTube
Yeah,
channel.
you know, it's
And,
it's a great resource,
Yeah,
especially
great.
if you're
We're
looking
trying
at
to
some
be
of
a
the
great
fixtures.
safe space to just trash on people.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
exactly.
kidding, not really.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
just
then
to be real.
and then let us know for Barbenheimer, which one you rooting for?
Yeah, comment below. I'll have a little poll on Instagram probably.
I think you can see which one Chris is rooting
Clearly,
for.
I'm going for the Barbie one, so
Yeah, and I'm
that's what I'm dressed for,
yeah. So
I think.
thanks again for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching. Peace out.